Oh, Blizzard. The once heralded development studio is responsible for phenomenal, timeless gaming experiences like World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, StarCraft, and Overwatch. But the past several years have been rough. With Diablo IV on its way, the franchise's fanbase has been very vocal with their thoughts on the upcoming entry to the once universally renowned franchise. So, in this video, we're going to go through why some fans are frustrated with Blizzard and the upcoming release of Diablo IV. Number 4. Presentation and atmosphere. Early Diablo games infused horror into their dark fantasy settings. The demons were an imposing threat of existential dread, and the world of Sanctuary reflected that through gritty environments, desperate NPCs, and depraved enemies. Who doesn't remember the terror they felt upon entering the Butcher's domain in Diablo 1? Diablo 3 signaled a departure from the broodiness by injecting more color and brightness into its version of Sanctuary. Fans were far from pleased by a lot of the additions the third installment brought, but the new tone was one thing that many could not look past. With Immortal, Diablo similarly set aside the dark fantasy roots and took more from what Diablo 3 introduced when shaping its settings, mood, and atmosphere. While Diablo 4 appears to be a return to the classic horrific dark fantasy versions of Sanctuary, fans are not convinced by what's been shown that Blizzard will be able to recapture what made the early games so great. Fans recognize the shift also comes down to the power of the player. Diablos 1 and 2 allowed for the player to feel vulnerable while fighting across the lands of Sanctuary, but the third entry focused more on the power fantasy of the player becoming the ultimate killing machine. Unfortunately, fans are worried that Diablo 4 will feel more like Diablo 3, even with less color incorporated into the setting's design. Number 3. The open world. Blizzard has been praising their new Diablo setting as open world. Technically, the game has introduced new open-ended options in how the player tackles the missions and settings, but players are skeptical about the openness of Diablo 4's explorable setting. Many are citing the fact that singular paths are used for players to travel across the map, and while some paths may branch out, the player is ultimately funneled through specific routes. This is quite different from a true open world, but it's also how previous Diablo games have handled their traversal. This then brings up the question, what is new about Diablo's open world? Blizzard has an answer, but it may not be the one players are hoping for. The open world aspect comes into play with how players choose to shape their story as a demon hunter. Blizzard stated that players will be able to tackle the different settings in any order, versus previous games where each zone represented an act with all players seeing each world in the same order. This may be a new direction for the series, but this world design is not entirely new to the genre, and it's certainly debatable over whether it functions as open world. This issue also leads into another main gripe players have had with Blizzard's upcoming title. Number 2. Lack of content. Googling what's different about Diablo 4 will reveal that not much is being added to this experience on top of what previous titles already provided. The 5 classes listed, Barbarian, Rogue, Necromancer, Druid, and Sorcerer, were all options in earlier games. Now, it's extremely likely that a 6th class will be introduced, but many fans are speculating that it will be one of the other classes from earlier games, not an original one built just for this title. One of the other additions that Blizzard is touting as a major update is in regards to character customization. While Diablo as a series has only had minor options in the appearance of the player's created character, this is not a new addition to the genre in any regard. There have been plenty of other MMO-style games with huge options in character customization, so Blizzard is really just late to the game with this one. Even more so, the options provided are fairly limited, with only 10 options for hairstyles across both body types. The trailer also touts gameplay features like when a player clears an enemy camp, there could be a friendly settlement in its stead, which again is not even new to the Diablo series. 3 new stats are being introduced, which is welcome, but players still feel a little bit dissatisfied with the overall lack of new content for a series that hasn't seen a new mainline entry in over a decade. Number 1. Monetization. Here's the big question when it comes to Diablo IV. Will it be pay to win? Blizzard claimed ahead of Diablo Immortal's launch that the game wouldn't feature any pay-to-win aspects. This was obviously incorrect, and the game was heavily monetized with multiple avenues for players to pay real-world money to increase their character's power. With Diablo IV, the game studio currently claims that all paid-for features are for cosmetic items only. However, players are skeptical to say the least, as Blizzard seeks to provide support to Diablo IV for multiple years, meaning there's plenty of time to reverse their earlier statements. Also, even if the game isn't pay to win, other recent Blizzard titles like Overwatch 2 show how far Blizzard is willing to go to nickel and dime their players. The original Overwatch did have cosmetic microtransactions, but was a game players had to buy up front, and it was still very easy to earn cosmetics for free just by playing. With Overwatch 2 and the move to free-to-play, players now not only have to spend real money for almost any cosmetic item, but new characters introduced are blocked behind a paywall or behind many hours of grinding. This means players can pay money to get an early upper hand over the non-paying players by purchasing the Battle Pass and unlocking the newest character immediately. While it may not be pay to win in the traditional sense, dirty tactics like this have players worried about Blizzard's overall design ethos in this day and age. If Immortal is anything to go off, Diablo IV will be ripe with pay-to-win features and could very well ruin the experience for players who already have to buy the title up front. Let us know down in the comments if Blizzard has you worried about the future of Diablo, or if you're able to look past everything we mentioned when June rolls around. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more gaming content just like this.